never planned to marry my best friend's ex. I never even thought about it. But life is funny. It's like, one day you are helping your best friend cry over a breakup, and the next, you are wearing a wedding dress, walking down the aisle to marry the same man she cried over. It all started with May. May and I were like sisters. We did everything together, ate from the same plate, shared secrets, even wore matching clothes sometimes. When she started dating Jude, I was happy for her. Jude was tall, dark, and had the kind of smile that made girls blush, but their relationship did not last long. One day, May came to my house crying. "He cheated on me, Tami. I can't believe it," she sobbed. I was shocked. "Jude? No way." "Yes, I saw messages on his phone. He was talking to another girl." I held her as she cried, promising that she would find someone better. "Forget him," I said. "He's not worth your tears." And that was the end of Jude and May. Or so I thought. A few months later, Jude started texting me. At first I ignored him. It felt wrong. But he kept apologizing, saying he had changed. He said he missed having me as a friend. "Just as a friend, nothing more," he wrote. Slowly, I started replying. Slowly, we started talking every day. Started laughing at his jokes. And before I knew it, I had fallen for the man my best friend once loved. When Jude proposed, I said yes. I thought I had won a prize. But I didn't know the real game was just beginning. And then, this happened. The wedding day was beautiful. The sun was shining, the music was sweet, and my dress made me feel like a princess. But one thing was missing: my best friend May. I had not told her I was marrying Jude. I wanted to, but I was scared. How could I explain that I had fallen for the man she once cried over? So I kept it a secret. But secrets don't stay hidden forever. The night before the wedding, I got a message. It was from May. "Tami, is it true? Are you marrying Jude?" My hands started shaking. How did she know? Who told her? I wanted to lie, but what was the point? "Yes," I replied. "I wanted to tell you, but I was scared." She didn't reply. On my wedding day, as I stood in front of Jude, I told myself that everything would be fine. May would forgive me one day. I was marrying the man I loved. That was all that mattered. But I was wrong. The drama started at the reception. As Jude and I were about to cut the cake, someone shouted from the crowd, "Jude, so this is what you have been hiding?" I froze. May was standing near the entrance, dress that made her look like fire. Her eyes were filled with anger. Everyone turned to look at her. The room went silent. Jude's grip on my hand tightened. "Let's just ignore her," he whispered. But May was not done. She pulled out her phone, lifted it in the air, and pressed play. A voice filled the room. It was Jude's voice. "May, I still love you. I don't love Tami. She was just easy to manipulate." My breath was caught in my throat. The whole hall gasped. My legs felt weak. Was this real? The question kept spinning in my head. Jude turned pale. "Tami, I can explain," he said, grabbing my arm. May walked closer, her lips curling into a smirk. "Go ahead, Jude. Explain to your wife how you begged me to take you back last week." The guests started murmuring. My mother's face turned red with shame. My father stood up, ready to explode. And me? I was trapped between my husband, who might be a liar, and my best friend, who had just exposed him. My hands started shaking. My wedding dress suddenly felt too tight, like it was choking me. Everyone was staring, waiting for me to react. My mother whispered my name, but I couldn't move. Jude grabbed my hands. "Tami, please, don't listen to her. She's lying." May let out a bitter laugh. "Lying? Should I play more? Should I show the texts?" She waved her phone in the air. My heart was pounding. I didn't know what to believe. Was this all a mistake? Then Jude did something that made my blood turn cold. He lunged at May. "Give me that phone," he growled, trying to snatch it from her hands. The crowd gasped. My father stood up, his fists clenched. May stepped back quickly, her eyes wide with shock. "Look at him, Tami. Look at who you married. I had never seen Jude like this. His jaw was tight, his eyes burning with anger. The charming, sweet man I fell in love with was gone. Is it true? My voice came out small, but the whole hall heard me. Did you tell May you still love her? Jude turned to me, his face full of desperation. Babe, listen. Yes or no? I screamed, my voice cracking. The silence stretched. Then, Jude sighed and looked down. And that was all the answer I needed. My legs gave out and I stumbled back. My mother rushed to hold me, but I pushed her away. My head was spinning. My wedding day had turned into a nightmare. May took a step closer. I tried to warn you, she whispered. Tears burned my eyes. My hands balled into fists. I didn't know if I wanted to cry or slap Jude across the face. Then, from the back of the hall, another voice spoke. A female voice. Well, well, well. Looks like I'm not the only one he lied to. We all turned to see a beautiful woman in a tight blue dress, standing with her arms crossed. She was tall, with smooth brown skin and sharp eyes. Who is that? Someone whispered. Jude's face turned ghost white. Ava. Ava? Who was Ava? The hall went silent again. Even Moyo looked confused. Then, Ava smirked. Jude, aren't you going to introduce me? My stomach dropped. What new mess was this? Jude's mouth opened, but no words came out. His hands trembled and beads of sweat formed on his forehead. I turned to Ava, my heart pounding. Who are you? She smiled, but it wasn't a friendly smile. I'm Ava, Jude's fiancée. The hall erupted. People gasped, murmured, and pointed. My mother nearly fainted. My father looked like he was about to punch someone. I felt like the ground had been pulled from under me. That's impossible, I whispered, shaking my head. I just married him. Ada reached into her purse and pulled out her phone. She tapped the screen a few times, then turned it toward me. See for yourself. On the screen was a picture of Ava and Jude, but it wasn't just any picture. It was a picture of them kissing. The timestamp was from 2 weeks ago. I covered my mouth, bile rising in my throat. May let out a bitter laugh. Wow, Tami, I knew he was bad, but I didn't know he was this bad. Jude finally found his voice. Babe, I can explain. I turned to him slowly, my hands shaking with rage. Babe, don't call me that. Tami, please, he begged. Ada is lying. Smack! I didn't even realize my hand had moved until I saw Jude holding his cheek, eyes wide in shock. The hall fell completely silent. You lied to me, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. You made me betray my best friend for you. You made me believe you loved me. And all this time, you were still with her? Jude looked around desperately. He was trapped, and he knew it. It's not what it looks like, he stammered. I shook my head. It's exactly what it looks like. Ava folded her arms. I knew something was off when you started avoiding my calls, so I followed you today, and now I see why. She turned to me. I'm sorry, girl. You didn't deserve this. I swallowed the lump in my throat. The pain in my chest was unbearable, but I wasn't going to cry. Not in front of him, not near. I took a deep breath, turned to my parents, and bowed my head. I'm sorry for bringing shame to our family. I should have listened when you warned me. Then I turned to May, my best friend. Tears filled my eyes. May, I hurt you. I chose him over you. And now I see how wrong I was. I don't expect you to forgive me, but I am truly, truly sorry. May stared at me for a long time. Then she sighed and pulled me into a hug. You're still my best friend, dummy, she whispered. Just don't ever do this again. I broke into sobs. I had lost a husband, but I had gained back my best friend, and that was more valuable. As for Jude, he tried to speak again, but I raised a hand. Enough. You've done enough damage. Enjoy your life because you will never see me again. I turned and walked out of the hall, my head held high. And in that moment, I realized something important: never betray a friend for a man who isn't even worth it. Moral lesson: loyalty matters. Never trade true friendship for temporary love. Red flags are there for a reason. If someone has a history of lying and cheating, don't believe you'll be the one to change them. Self-respect is everything. Walk away from anything that doesn't value you. And most importantly, sometimes losing the wrong person is the best